And welcome to the City of Battle Creek, Michigan. This is our Battle Creek City Commission meeting for May 3rd, 2022. It is 7 o'clock. We thank you for being here tonight. We have a busy night for proclamations. We have a series of proclamations. With that being said, our invocation will be a moment of silence, and then we'll have our Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Blood. Would you please stand for a moment of silence and our pledge by Commissioner Blood. Commissioner Blood.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item on our agenda is the roll call. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Commissioner Blood?
Present.
Vice Mayor Ferris?
Here.
Commissioner Herring?
Here.
Commissioner Lance? Mayor Banky?
Here.
Commissioner Morris?
Here.
Commissioner Reynolds?
Present.
Commissioner Sophia?
Here.
Commissioner Zenda Wilson?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Like I said earlier, we have a number of proclamations tonight, and we've asked several of the commissioners to help distribute these proclamations. We're also going to ask those individuals receiving to make some comments about the special event so that we can share it with the public. And we want to thank you for participating in this event. And at this time, we're going to start with the Lakeview School District Day. The Vice Mayor will be reading that, and I believe there's a series of people from Lakeview Schools here. Would you please come forward? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. It wasn't quite 100 years ago, but I am a former graduate of Lakeview, so it makes me happy that I'm able to present this to you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and read it, and then we'll let you introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you have planned. Whereas this marks the 100th anniversary of Lakeview School District educating and preparing students for their future in Battle Creek area, and whereas Lakeview School District is a comprehensive school comprised of 7 school buildings, educating approximately 4,000 students in grades K through 12, with 500 faculty and support staff members, and whereas it is a highly respected, dynamic public school system which seeks implementation of meaningful change with the goal of responsibly educating all of its students. Whereas Lakeview School District is dedicated to the organizational excellence, supports and encourages the development and implementation of multicultural perspectives across all areas of the organization, and the celebration of diversity and assets that diversity brings to its organization. Whereas students flourish in the Lakeview School District environment that provides a steady guidance, support, and positivity, which allows them to grow confidently and feel prepared for the future. Whereas we are grateful to the dedication and commitment by Lakeview School District and its staff to provide a positive learning experience for all students, and whereas are honored to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lakeview School District in the Battle Creek area. Now, therefore, Mayor Mark Banky and the City of Battle Creek, Michigan do hereby proclaim May 7th, 2022 as Lakeview School District Day. Are you accepting this on behalf of everyone? And I'll go ahead and pass the mic to you if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Banky and the commissioners for this great proclamation. I haven't been there 100 years, but sometimes I feel like it. I was very fortunate to have 3 children that went through the district, and then grandchildren and now great-grandchildren. So it was a pleasure to represent the school board this evening, as well as a member of the committee that's been working on it. As we were going through the archives, especially to go back 100 years and see things that were happening back in the 1920s, right on through to today, it was really exciting to see all of the things that have happened in the Lakeview district, from the buildings that were being built to our students that were coming through, and to see how the educational process had changed and everything. It was wonderful to see all of that. Now, May 7th is a very exciting day for us because that is our celebration day. How we chose that day, it was kind of like we pulled it out of the hat and said, okay, that'll be a good day to do it. Hopefully we'll have some sunshine and not rain. So there really is no significance to that particular day, if you want to know that. We'll put that out there right away. But we want to invite everybody to come because it really is exciting to see the changes that took place in Lakeview at that time during all the changes. We're going to have an archive section, and we have things from way back in the 1920s right on up through today. And to look through the newspaper clippings and pictures of former teachers, staff members, students, and the activities and how they changed has been really exciting, and we want to share that with the community. We're also going to have some great entertainment. We're going to have Frankie Ballard for any of those that are country western interested people. He's going to come. He's a former graduate of Lakeview, so we were really proud when we reached out to him, and he said, anything I can do, and so he's in the district. We also have some other entertainment, some former graduates of Lakeview, but more importantly, we have our current students that are going to be performing for us. All of our buildings are going to have things on display, things that they have done, but our student performers are the ones that are really going to showcase what's taking place. We'll have an opening ceremony that will be at 1 o'clock, I believe, and we will be going from 1 to 4. We're also going to have a food cart for those of you that might get hungry during the day. We'll have the building open, the middle school, which was the former high school, and then we'll also have a tour of the new high school for those of you that would like to see the change that took place. So I'm going to turn it over right now to our interim superintendent, Cindy Green, to see if she has anything she would like to add about that day.
I think you've covered it all, and she introduced me. I'm also a Lakeview grad, and the year I graduated, we got to celebrate the bicentennial year of our country, so you can guess the year, and then now feel very fortunate to celebrate the 100th year of Lakeview. Just introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Green. I'm the president of the Board of Education for Lakeview School District. Happy to be here, and thank you to the Commission for sharing your time with us tonight.
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Moore. I'm the vice president, and I am also an alum. And what brought me to Battle Creek was when my dad was appointed the principal of Lakeview High School. So that was in 1974. So we've got a long history with the district.
Thank you all very much. Did you have someone that wanted to take a photo real quick? Can you do? Thank you. Our city manager is also our photographer this evening. Thank you. It was good to see it.
Okay, next we have Child Care Provider Appreciation Day. Commissioner Wilson, thank you.
All right, I'd like to invite folks to come up and join me. And Janasia, if you wouldn't mind. Commissioner Morris. Come on, Miss Spivey. There you go. Hey, April. Yes. Come on up. Hi. Yeah. Hello. Hello. How are you? All right, it is my genuine honor to be up here with all these phenomenal people, and I'd like to read this proclamation on their behalf. Whereas over half the children under the age of 6 nationwide are estimated to spend some time in a non-parental care arrangement on a weekly basis, which provides critical enrichment opportunities and nurtures development for children of all backgrounds and is a vital building block of our state economy. And whereas Battle Creek recognizes child care providers as an essential workforce for our economy that allow families access to the care needed so they can work. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has created tremendous hardship for childcare providers and the families of Battle Creek who depend on them, who have continued to meet the needs of families while risking their health and financial stability to remain open. And whereas Michigan recognizes these hardships and has provided much-needed relief to providers to help sustain the viability of childcare by providing much-needed stabilization grants. Battle Creek has recognized these hardships and has recently approved much-needed relief through an American Rescue Plan Act allocation that will help alleviate housing challenges for early childhood professionals. And whereas Battle Creek will join families and organizations nationwide in recognizing child care providers, teachers, and educators for their efforts in caring for the children of working parents and providing them with quality early childhood experiences. And whereas Battle Creek neighbors are encouraged to recognize family child care providers throughout the state for their dedication to providing quality care and learning services and for the important role they play in our children's future. And whereas our future depends on the quality of early childhood experiences provided to young children today, support for high-quality child care represents a worthy commitment to our children's future. Now, therefore, I and Mayor Mark Benke, the City of Battle Creek, Michigan, in conjunction with others across the United States of America, acknowledge and do hereby proclaim May 6, 2022 as Child Care Provider Appreciation Day, and urge all neighbors in our community and communities across the country to recognize child care providers for all they do to ensure the best quality of life for both the child and the family. Thank you very much. Now, I would love to have each of our esteemed guests introduce themselves and let you know what role they play in the community.
Hello, I'm April Goodwin. I'm the Executive Director for Southwest Child Care Resources, and we're here to support our child care providers by offering training, advocacy, and support throughout their, as they provide high-quality child care.
I'm Michelle Williamson. I'm with Community Action, who oversees and runs Head Start, Early Head Start, and GSRP throughout the city.
I'm Kathleen Moore. I'm the Executive Director for the Battle Creek Shared Services Alliance, a membership organization that does centralized services for child care centers in town.
And I am Kim Spivey, the owner of Kim's Kitty Corner Daycare. Have been in business for over 25 years locally throughout the Battle Creek City.
You guys know me as Commissioner Morris, but my kids call me Miss Janasia. I get to work for Battle Creek Public Schools and float around to all of their GSRP classrooms throughout the week.
Hi, I'm Maud Bristol Perry, owner of Sugar and Spice Child Care Center, serving the community for 50 years of serving children.
Thank you all. I want to just say a personal debt of gratitude for what each and every one of you does for our community. Thank you so much. 50 years, yes. Almost 30 years. It is something, right, Janasia? Yes. Look at the footsteps you get to follow in. All right, thank you. And I know Rebecca's going to try and get a picture of all of us here.
We also want to thank Commissioner Wilson for her passionate plea
Yes.
to just bring awareness to the child care industry in our community and the work that they're doing. I want to say thank you. It's opened my eyes with her term on the commission, and I think you've done a great job. So thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mayor. Nice seeing you, too.
You have to come up.
Yeah. Actually, Mayor, I'm going to ask all the city employees to come up. They're in the room.
Well, thank you, everyone. That's nice.
I think she's too young to be on payroll.
She's paid under the table.
Please allow me to read this proclamation. Whereas May 1st through 7th, 2022 has been declared Public Service Recognition Week to honor the employees of the federal, state, and local governments of the United States. And whereas Public Service Recognition Week provides an opportunity to recognize and promote the important contributions of public servants and honor the diverse men and women who meet the needs of their neighbors through work at all levels of government. And whereas The effectiveness and efficiency of government depends in large measure on public employees who provide services of quality and quantity that are required and expected by the public on a daily basis. And whereas the importance of public services rendered by public employees and the manner of their performance are too often forgotten or ignored. And whereas public employees serve tirelessly, showing endless dedication and talent through the many contributions they make at all levels. Therefore, on behalf of the citizens of our city of Battle Creek, we do hereby proclaim May 1st through 7th, 2022 as Public Service Recognition Week in the greater Battle Creek area, and we urge all residents to recognize the many contributions public employees make to our community. And Rebecca and I were just talking earlier this week about some of the struggles that we sometimes have, and particularly when it comes to a death. And unfortunately, one department has suffered quite a few this year, and it's tough to take that in stride, but we've just got to pick up our bootstraps and move on. And that's what we do in serving the people of Battle Creek. We understand the requirements that we have, and we do our job to the best of our ability. So I want to be, on behalf of the citizens, we want to say thank you very much to all the public employees. And Rebecca, do you have anything you want to say?
No, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. This is just a few of the tremendous employees we have as part of Team Battle Creek. We could not serve this community without the passion and dedication of every city employee. And so I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves because they don't often get a chance to do this. And we, of course, we couldn't fit all of our people, but we have, over 540 city employees that serve you as our community members every day, 24/7, many of them. So thank you very much. We appreciate this recognition, Mayor and Commissioners, and I do think that it's a calling and a passion to serve your community. I'll start here.
I'm Ted Deering. I'm the Assistant City Manager for the City of Battle Creek.
Jill Humphrey Steele, I'm the City Attorney for Battle Creek.
Ryan Stang, I'm the Information Technology Network Architect.
Deputy Chief Troy Gillian, I am in charge of the Patrol Division for the Police Department.
Shannon Weddle, the Operations Supervisor at Battle Creek Transit.
And her daughter, Journey. I'm Mallory Avis. I'm the Public Transit Director for the City of Battle Creek.
Chris Lucy, representing the Community Services Department.
Donna Hutchison, I'm the Grants Program Administrator for City of Battle Creek Transit Department.
I'm Vicki Hauser, Battle Creek City Clerk.
Mike Fleischer, Battle Creek Fire Department, Battalion Chief.
Quincy Jones, Battle Creek Fire Department, Fire Marshal.
And I'm Carl Fetters, the DPW Director.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here tonight, and congratulations on a great week.
Thank you.
Commissioner Reynolds, could you help on a proclamation for the Police Memorial Week? Oh, excuse me, Drinking Water Week. Commissioner Sophia.
I you would. Carl thought he was getting off the hook. It is my pleasure to present the proclamation for Drinking Water Week. The proclamation states, whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas drinking water serves a vital role in daily life, serving an essential purpose to health, hydration, and hygiene needs for the quality of life our citizens enjoy. And whereas tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy. And whereas the City of Battle Creek developed a wellhead protection plan to safeguard our drinking water through the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality. And whereas the hard work performed by the entire Department of Public Works in designing capital improvement projects, water treatment operations staff serving our community around the clock to ensure the safety and quality of our drinking water, and members of the water distribution and metering team monitoring the delivery of water to our valued customers. And whereas coronavirus pandemic has shone a light on the importance of drinking water for health, hydration, and hygiene needs. And whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which current and future generations depend. Now therefore, on behalf of the citizens of Battle Creek, we do hereby proclaim May 1st through the 7th, 2022 as Drinking Water Week in the greater Battle Creek area, and urge neighbors to help protect our source waters from pollution and practice water conservation whenever possible.
Thank you. Our water division treats and distributes over 3 billion gallons a year of water. That's kind of a number that's hard to put a figure on, but that's like filling Lake Gilgoak 3 times. So to kind of give you an idea. But that this week we'll thank those crews that are responsible for that. In the coming weeks, you'll see some social media posts where we highlight some of those employees. We also, next commission meeting, we'll do Public Works Week, and we're planning an open house for the public. More information on that will come out later. And our Consumers Confidence Report is set to come out soon, and that will have all of our testing for the past year, so the public will be privy to that. So thank you for the proclamation.
I am honored to be able to present you this proclamation. Whereas the police officers of America have worked devotedly selfishly to safeguard the lives and properties of the fellow citizens regardless of the hazards to themselves. And whereas by the enforcement of our laws, these same dedicated police officers have provided our country with an outstanding record of performance in securing social freedom and protecting the rights of all individuals. And whereas the men and women, by the public service and their dedicated efforts, have earned the respect and gratitude of the nation. And whereas many of these guardians of public safety have served beyond the call of duty, 614 law enforcement fatalities occurred in the United States in 2021, 7 of them occurring in Michigan, along with 3 reported K-9 deaths. Over 75% of the report deaths for 2021 were COVID-19 related. It is fitting that we set aside a time to honor their memory. Now and therefore, I and Mark Benke, Mayor of the City of Battle Creek, Michigan, do hereby proclaim the week of May 15th through 21, 2022 as Public Memorial Week, and further proclaim Sunday, May 15th, 2022 as Police Officer Memorial Day in the greater Battle Creek area, and urge all the members and neighbors to honor the police officers who are providing dedicated, effective, and the law enforcement service, and to participate in the tributes in the memory of these officers who have passed on. Thank you so much.
Mayor, Commissioners, on behalf of the Police Department, this week is very special to us. Even though we know that this could be the ultimate sacrifice any day we suit up, the city provides us with the training and the gear and equipment necessary to make our jobs easier so that we can serve the citizens. The city has always been behind us 100%, even in the hard times and even in the easy times. And there hasn't been too many easy times. It's typically a challenge or a strategy that we have to navigate around somehow. So we do this because there's honor and nobility behind it, and that's all that's to it. We understand what we face every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Once again, congratulations to everyone, and thank you to the commissioners also assisted in the delivery. Next item on our agenda is Chair noting any added or deleted resolutions.
There were none.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is petitions, communications, and reports.
There were none.
Thank you very much. Next item on our agenda is public comment regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda. This is limited to 3 minutes per individual. Please allow me to read this information first. If you'd like to make a public comment regarding the consent agenda and resolutions not on the consent agenda, please raise your hand and we will acknowledge you to come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please state your name and address before beginning your comment. Is there anyone in the public that would like to make public comment regarding consent agenda and resolutions not on the John Kennefick, please come forward.
John Kennefick, 234 South Avenue. This is in regards to Resolution 372, which is the Battle Creek Transit rate increases. At the last commission meeting, it was an interesting thing about how the bus system needed more money, and I explained that approximately $40,000 for bus advertising on the side of the buses was collected every year, but I don't seem to include that or haven't included that in the cost of your increases. And then I want to go back several years. The City Commission approved a resolution purchasing a large propane tank that cost $100,000. This was to reload or refill the propane buses. So there was a cost savings there because it was less expensive to purchase propane than it was diesel fuel. If there's a cost savings, how much was that? And was that included in the calculation to increase the fare costs? Now a question comes up is, why does diesel fuel cost so much? It's usually the least amount of money to refine diesel fuel in refineries. So it should be less expensive than gasoline, regular, Supreme, or whatever. But it costs more. There is a reason for this. 8 years ago, in 2014, it was the 50th anniversary of Lyndon Johnson's War on Poverty. They discovered 50 years later, in 2014, that there were more people in poverty than before the program began 50 years earlier. So what did the United States Congress do and the President of the United States? They increased diesel fuel throughout the United States. This has to do with moving trains, moving products and services, and also diesel trucks that move those products to different locations. So you have cost increases because you're paying a tax by the federal government, which is causing your rates to go up. Isn't that kind of ironic? Thank you very much.
Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Mayor. About Resolution 372, I understand why we might need a bus fare increase, and I also suggest that there's a lot of people in this city that can't afford that 50 cents. So I'm challenging the city of Battle Creek and other service providers to create a more robust and easier access system for folks that can't afford it to get discounted bus passes, because I know those are available. But quite frankly, it's a little bit tough to get at those. So I challenge the city to do a better job at making those more easily available, and also perhaps to get some of the service providers like Share Center to be able to offer those as opposed to having to pull that out of the Share Center's budget. In regards to Resolution 374, a contract for smart cameras at the Transportation Center, I understand they have a few there, and I think that they want more cameras just to improve the vision there, and I appreciate the fact that that's within the cable optics system of Battle Creek. And I want to tell you, as a regular park attendee at Claude Evans Park, I sure as heck would much rather see you working hard to get some cameras at Claude Evans Park as opposed to more cameras by the Transportation Center. Not sure how many shootings they've had at that Transportation Center recently. And finally, there's a resolution to continue to provide a certified police officer, Resolution 382, for the Battle Creek High School. And while I know and think quite highly of the police officers that we've had, or the police officer that we have assigned to the high school. I also, once again, am asking, has the Battle Creek Public School System recently explored other options than having cop in the high school? Because honestly, the research does not necessarily show that having a police officer in the high school is necessarily going to increase the safety and security of the children. And I think that I know we explored it way back when we first put him in there, but I think it's about time that we look at that idea again, because come on, folks, we really don't need cops with guns walking around with our kids. And I know the officer, and I like our officer, and I think very highly of him. And I challenge us to reconsider having police in the schools. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other public? Yes, Reese.
Reese Adkins, 24 Popular. Going on Resolution 372, I have spoken this is now the third time, and I ask that the commissioners table this and do not approve this today, and that they do look at other ways of coming up with this money, because I was here 3 meetings ago when they came up and said they were going to do a county-wide transportation. They were going to do a millage increase, or ask for millage increase for that. Why can't we do that for the city buses, and not raise these prices to where the senior citizens cannot ride them because they can't afford it? Yes, it's a small increase, but people that don't have very much money can't even afford a small increase. The other one that I am going to speak on is the police officer in Battle Creek Public Schools. I graduated Battle Creek Central class of 1996. I was there 4 years, and Officer Kenny Wright at the time was the officer there, and I felt very safe. I do support an officer being in that school because with them in there and with them walking around, a lot of people, a lot of the shenanigans that people were thinking of doing, when they look at Kenny walking around there, they look, well, maybe I need to decide not to do it. So I think that our schools would be safe with an officer there. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other comments at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Cindy Dion, 24 Poplar, Battle Creek, Michigan. I'm also going to speak on Resolution 372. This week I have been trying to organize rides, and I could not get them from Community Action. I can respect that. I also had a great deal of difficulty with the BC Go program. I know it's a lot to ask, but I do support the idea of a millage too, because I think the BC Go program needs to be expanded. When I can go 3 weeks out and ask for the same ride every week, and I cannot get one throughout the month of May, there certainly is more demand for this than you can accommodate. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other public comments at this time? Seeing none? We have a resolution to approve our consent agenda.
Sir, I do have commission comment regarding the new business, if that's acceptable before I motion.
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. So part of our consent agenda is Resolution 371, and I would like to ask a question of our city manager. It's regarding the Oprah that we're setting a public hearing. Is now an appropriate time to do that?
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Yeah, so on our consent agenda, Resolution 371, we're setting a public hearing for an obsolete property rehabilitation district for the city of Battle Creek, and I have questions in regards to that. Would you like me to ask them now?
Yes.
Or later?
Excuse me, Your Honor, the ordinance does provide that for something on the consent agenda, it just needs to be removed to the regular.
To talk about it, I just need to remove it? Okay, then do I need to make a motion, Jill?
Nope, you just remove it.
Okay, can we remove 371 so I can ask a question about it off the consent agenda?
I've taken it off the consent agenda, and we put it on the regular resolutions not included on the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on the consent agenda?
Commissioner Blood?
Yes.
The consent agenda has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 371. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
This is a resolution setting a public hearing of the City Commission at its regular meeting on May 3rd, 2022, on the proposed establishment of an obsolete property rehabilitation district for the City of Battle Creek.
I move for the consent of Resolution 371.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 371. Commissioner Blood, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So, Rebecca, on 371, that Oprah, is it Oprah District? Thank you. Are there established developer plans and that tax abatement? Have we identified who a developer might be with that for that specific property?
Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the question, and I'm going to ask Assistant City Manager Ted Deering to respond.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. And please understand, I'm going to try not to share more information than would be appropriate
Yes.
to share at this time. But yes, there is a local business that is interested in that property. They have fairly extensive redevelopment plans planned for that particular building. It will take probably a significant amount of renovation to get it into position to serve the needs of the new business. This is the first step in the process. As you know, we first established a district. And then at some point, when the developer is ready to go forward with the plan, they would submit an application for an actual tax abatement. So for the purposes of establishing the district, the city can take the lead on that, and in anticipation of, even if it isn't this developer, another developer may be showing some interest or future redevelopment of that particular property, we'd like to establish the district now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your questions. Are there any other questions on Resolution 371? Seeing none, please vote on 371. Resolution 371 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 372. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Battle Creek Transit has operated under the same fare structure since 2003. This fare increase takes into consideration the increasing operational expenses over the last 19 years. This fare increase was approved by the Public Transportation Committee on March 4, 2022. A public hearing was held on April 19, 2022, as part of the City of Battle Creek Commission meeting to ensure that citizens had the opportunity to comment on the proposed changes that were developed by Battle Creek Transit. This resolution seeks approval for a fare increase for Battle Creek Transit to take effect on July 1, 2022.
I move for the approval of Resolution 372.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 372. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns about Resolution 372? Commissioner Blood.
Yes, sir. With your permission, may I ask Mallory Avis up to the microphone for a question that she might have an answer to?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Avis. Thank you. I know that this fare increase has been highly debated, and a lot of people have talked about where we get the money from. Out of curiosity, if the fairs had to fully fund the transportation program here in Battle Creek, fares from whatever. What would that look like to me as a rider? What would I pay?
Our cost per passenger for fixed route service is $8.98, so roughly $9 per passenger. And for demand response, which is our teletransit or ADA paratransit service, that amount is $63.71 per passenger.
Per passenger.
Correct, and that's per one-way trip.
And so your program is highly subsidized with help, and your wonderful grant writer is obviously in this room that does a great job, the great team. So what you are asking for, yes, is an increase, but we haven't had one in 18 years, but this is still substantially less than what I would pay at $8.90 or $63.
Correct, it's roughly, for fixed route, 80% discount from the actual cost.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Wilson?
Yep, I'd like to be able to, I know there's been a couple times now that the question's been asked about what happens to revenue we may get from advertising on the bus. I'd like to give you an opportunity to respond to that if you'd like. And I just want to also, before you go into that, acknowledge that this fare increase we know puts an undue burden on some of our most vulnerable folks in the community, and that I trust that we'll be doing everything we can to try and support them through our partnerships where possible, and not overburden our nonprofits that have tooth in a budget already. So please, thank you.
Absolutely. We do budget roughly $35,000 per year in advertising revenue. That is included in our budget annually, and so it's considered part of our revenue. It doesn't show as an expense. It's considered part of our revenue. That obviously isn't a guaranteed amount, and it depends on businesses wanting to advertise or having the funds themselves to advertise. So it is budgeted within our budget, you'll see next week. But at the same time, with the qualified human service organizations, we work very closely with several human service organizations. We have a mobility manager on staff who actively works with those groups to help find reduced fares for passengers. We have an ADA program as well as a reduced fare program, and we have multiple agencies that are eligible to purchase discounts for their clients or their participants in their programs at a reduced rate, even from what our reduced rate for passengers is. So we'll continue to make those connections and work with those organizations.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments by the Commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 372? Resolution 372 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 373. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The Battle Creek Fire Department began providing aircraft rescue and firefighting services at the airport in 2014. This grant provides funding to offset the cost of the training which is required on an annual basis. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to execute Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT, grant contract number 2022-0346 for ARFF.
Sorry, I had to drink. I move for the approval of Resolution 373.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 373. Are there any comments or questions by the Commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 373? Resolution 373 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 374. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Resolution number 230, dated October 5th, 2021, approved a contract with Night Watch to provide smart security cameras in 5 locations in the city. Staff now seeks to install 29 smart cameras at the Battle Creek Transportation Center, in which Night Watch will use the city's network to tie the cameras back into the server located at the police department. These BCTC cameras will be monitored along with the cameras we already have in place. This resolution seeks authorization regarding a contract for smart cameras and 5 years maintenance at Battle Creek Transportation Center from Night Watch Incorporated in a not-to-exceed 5-year amount of $134,250.98.
I move for the approval of Resolution 374.
Support.
So moved and supported to approve Resolution 374. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns by the commission at this time? Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm curious if either Rebecca or Ted might be able to respond to this, but I'm curious how we decide where the cameras are placed.
I didn't know if you had another question.
I sort of did, but no, I'm good right now.
Sure. In this particular instance, it was based on need. A number of incidences that were happening at the transfer center, both police reported and Battle Creek Transit staff reported, and it was really a concern for safety of both our passengers and our transit employees, based on several instances that happened down there, whether it's drugs, assaults, things of that nature. And we know that we don't have enough officers to be everywhere at every moment. This gives us more eyes in an area where we have seen a bit of an uptick in need. But if I might also add on that, because I know that it was mentioned, also we have identified Claude Evans Park as a good location for cameras. The struggle there is that there's no connectivity, whereas the transfer center is, part of the city's fiber network and it's well connected. It has the infrastructure to be able to support those smart cameras that we're asking permission of the commission to purchase tonight. But we are looking at what are the other options, wireless hotspots and et cetera, to be able to place cameras in Claude Evans Park. We also want to make sure that we have conversations with the neighbors around Claude Evans Park about what that would look like, cameras, connectivity, does that make sense to them? We've had neighbors reach out based on the last shooting that was in the park and asking the city to consider that. We will be gathering that input at Juneteenth. We'll be talking about, further plans and ideas and brainstorming about changes in Claude Evans Park, if that's what, the neighbors are thinking. Certainly this will be part of that conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your question. Are there any comments or questions, Commissioner Reynolds?
Yes, thank you. Do we have a time frame as to when these cameras are going to be connected and placed?
Well, it's taking us longer to get the original cameras that were approved by the commission in for a variety of reasons. One is the weather in Michigan, it just cannot make up its mind.
Right.
Two, getting onto contractors' schedules. So like if we were on the schedule for today and they canceled, they now have weeks of appointments. So we have to, kind of wait and get into the queue again. And so that's really been our delay, is the schedules and then contractor availability. So, if the commission were to approve this tonight, we would try to get into, since we're already we're already in the middle of the original installations, I hope that we can kind of add these on so that we won't be waiting as long as we have been for the first set that we're going in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments? Seeing none, could you please vote on Resolution 374? Resolution 374 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 375. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Under Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974, as amended, and the Cranston-Gonzalez National Affordable Housing Act of 1990, the City of Battle Creek is required to prepare a plan that describes how the city will allocate community development block grant and home investment partnership funds to meet the needs of low and moderate income persons of Battle Creek. To that end, a consolidated plan is completed every 5 years, and an annual action plan is completed annually to describe the activities that will be undertaken to address the needs identified in the current 5-year consolidated plan. The annual action plan also serves as an application for community development block grant and home investment partnership funds. This resolution requests the adoption of the 2022-23 annual action plan and authorizing the city manager to execute required funding approval agreements with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development.
I move for the approval of Resolution 375.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 375. Are there any comments or questions or concerns by the commission? Commissioner Blood.
Thank you, sir. I just want to lift up community services and specifically Chris Lucier and his team. I know that this isn't easy, it's a lot of work, but you stay on top of it. You're in the community, you are working with the community on this, and I just appreciate, it comes to us and it looks so pretty and nice, but all the hard work that goes behind it. So I just want to lift that up and say thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 375? Resolution 375 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 376. When you're ready, Madam Clerk.
Beginning in 1993, the Battle Creek City Commission has passed resolutions improving pension benefits for non-represented employees in the Battle Creek Police and Fire Departments. The city desires to grant pension benefits for non-represented employees, which match those given to represented employees, by resolution granting a post-retirement adjustment to the pension benefits for the affected employee. Absent these changes, employees promoting or hiring into management positions would have a lesser pension benefit than they had in the position they were promoted from. This resolution requests adoption of post-retirement pension adjustments pursuant to the provisions of Public Act 345 of 1937 as amended for Deputy Police Chief Troy Gillian.
I move for the approval of Resolution 376.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 376. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns by the commission? Seeing none, please vote on Resolution 376. Resolution 376 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 377. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
Beginning in 1993, the Battle Creek City Commission has passed resolutions improving pension benefits for non-represented employees in the Battle Creek Police and Fire Departments. The city desires to grant pension benefits for non-represented employees, which match those given to represented employees, by resolution granting a post-retirement adjustment to the pension benefits for the affected employee. Absent these changes, employees promoting or hiring into management positions would have a lesser pension benefit than they had in the position they promoted from, if applicable. This resolution seeks adoption of post-retirement pension adjustments pursuant to the provisions of Public Act 345 of 1937 as amended for Deputy Police Chief Shannon Bagley.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 377.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 377. Are there any questions, comments, or concerns by the commission? I am not seeing any. Please vote on Resolution 377. Resolution 377 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 378. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
This resolution would accept contract 22-5103 for hot mix asphalt cold milling and resurfacing, concrete sidewalk, sidewalk ramps, curb and gutter, structure adjustments, and pavement markings along Washington Avenue from Goodale Avenue to Michigan Avenue, M89, and all together with necessary related work from Michigan Department of Transportation in the amount of $102,548, the city's match amount. The grand total estimated cost of the project is $565,000. This project is consistent with the City of Battle Creek's asset management plan and has been included in the Battle Creek Area Transportation Studies Transportation Improvement Plan. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to sign contract 22-5103 with the Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT.
I move for the approval of Resolution 378.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 378. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns by the commission? Seeing none, please vote on Resolution 378. Resolution 378 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 379. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
The previous parking contract expired on June 30, 2020. Resolution number 120 dated June 2nd, 2020 extended that to June 30, 2021 due to the pandemic and our limited staffing to handle the rebid. Resolution number 115 dated April 20, 2021 again extended the contract another year until June 30, 2022, again to the impacts of the pandemic. The solicitation for a new contract was issued February 15, 2022 for the parking management services. This project consists of contracting for parking management services for 2 parking structures, 15 service lots, and on-street enforcement and fine collection. The resulting contract is anticipated for a term of up to 7 years. This resolution seeks acceptance of the proposal of best value for parking management services from ABM Parking Services Incorporated in a not-to-exceed 5-year amount of $102,000 plus operating expenses and improvements.
I move for the approval of Resolution 379.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 379. Are there any comments, concerns, or questions by the Commission? Commissioner Blood.
Thank you, sir. Rebecca, with your permission, sir, I'd like to ask a question about the revenues. Sure. Okay. How often do revenues not cover operating expenses, and when they don't, what happens?
So I would say they have been able to cover their expenses for the most part since, or pre-COVID. Once COVID, was fully engaged, we were fully engaged with COVID, all of the parking ceased. So we've not seen or experienced revenue losses of this magnitude. Yeah, I was just making sure with Carl, but I was pretty sure I knew that. And we're trying to recover. This is probably one of the biggest areas impacted by COVID because we just don't have the traffic downtown, whether it's people coming in to shop, eat, et cetera, or it's employees downtown. And we've seen large employers basically move their employees out of the ramps, which is also an impact on our revenue. And so that's why you see that we're going to be using some of the city's ARPA dollars to be able to fill those revenue gaps. Because when they don't, either things don't get done from a maintenance perspective, or the city is responsible to continue to maintain those facilities because they are part of the city's infrastructure. We want to make sure that we're keeping them well maintained. We've also heard a lot of great things about the parking app that we've been piloting, and that, we hear from the Downtown Parking Committee about new technologies that should be considered for our parking ramps. But all of that takes revenue. So we will see how long it takes for the parking system to kind of bounce back. I think the concern that Carl and I have discussed, the parking committee has discussed, Linda Morrison has discussed is, will it come back to what we saw pre-COVID? Because, employers and individuals are making their own decisions really about working in the office or hybrid. Even if it's a 50% hybrid, that means basically 50% revenue. But we'll just have to see. That's why it's really, it's important for us to continue to support all businesses in and around the downtown, not even just the central, but, in the rings surrounding downtown, so that we encourage people to come out, use the parking system, and frequent all of the wonderful entrepreneurial options that we have.
Thank you. And, as you spoke, I heard Linda Morrison in my head going one-time funds. So when those one-time funds are no longer there, is staff working on a budgetary plan on how we might progress forward?
Yes, certainly. And I would have to say, we will monitor the revenues now incredibly closely. And you could go back and look at, a 10-year projection of our parking system revenues, and you'll see the big dip beginning in basically the 2020 until present. And so we certainly are forecasting that. We know the gaps may need to be covered by the general fund. They also may be covered through increases in parking fares in those facilities as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commission comments or questions or concerns? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 379? Resolution 379 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 380. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
A solicitation was issued March 18, 2022 for the 2022 Sisson Street Sanitary Sewer Project. This project consists of the construction of a lift station at the east end of Sisson Street with the placement of one sanitary manhole, gravity sanitary sewer, and HDPE force main, 2 stormwater infiltration basins, cold milling HMA, 333 tons of HMA, concrete driveway, and concrete sidewalk, along with miscellaneous other items. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for the 2022 Sisson Street Sanitary Sewer Project from Hoffman Brothers Incorporated in an estimated amount of $496,432.33 with unit prices prevailing.
I move for the approval of Resolution 380.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 380. Are there any questions or concerns by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 380? Resolution 380 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 381. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
A solicitation was issued March 25, 2022 for the 2022 Streets Rehabilitation Project. This project consists of the rehabilitation of roughly 98,450 square yards of cold milling HMA, 9,410 tons of HMA at various streets throughout the city and at the wastewater treatment plant, and shared use path grading HMA, selective tree clearing and tree trimming along the linear path. This resolution seeks acceptance of the lowest responsible bid for the 2022 Streets Rehabilitation Program project from Lakeland Asphalt Corporation in an estimated amount of $1,278,624.50 with unit prices prevailing.
I move for the approval of Resolution 381.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve Resolution 381. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns by the commission? Seeing none, would you please vote on 381? Resolution 381 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 382.
Historically, the city has provided the services of a school liaison officer throughout the entire school day for the school year to be placed in various school buildings. In the last approximately 5 years, the agreement has provided one police officer to serve as school liaison officer at the high school, with this agreement for the 2022-2023 school year covering the same. This resolution seeks authorization for the city manager to enter into an agreement between the City of Battle Creek and Battle Creek Public Schools to provide one certified police officer to carry out the duties of a school liaison officer at the high school for the 2022-2023 school year.
I move for the approval of Resolution 382.
Support.
So moved and supported to approve Resolution 382. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns by the commission? Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. I share some of the same concerns Ms. Antea expressed in her public comments earlier, and wanted to share that I did my own exploration of this, both researching the experience of districts, specifically high schools that had officers in place, as well as the impact that has on the disproportionate outcomes for students of color. And I know that they exist. What I want to encourage us to do, because what I'm seeing with the data that we see coming from Battle Creek Public Schools is that their presence actually far outweighs the negative, and that they are relationship first, which I think is critically important, and there seems to be a commitment to that. What I'd like to encourage the department to do is make sure that those virtual trainings that we did with the goggles includes also the officer from the school, because I do think that can help build some empathy. So while I'm in support of this, I do want to express that it's something we should watch closely. And as things evolve and we learn more about what it takes to actually effectively support our students, we want to make sure that we're doing the best possible by them. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for your comments. Are there any other comments at this time? Seeing none, would you please vote on Resolution 382? Resolution 382 has been approved. Next item on our agenda is Resolution 383. Madam Clerk, when you're ready.
At a special meeting held on Monday, March 7, 2022, the Battle Creek Tax Increment Finance Authority, BC TIFA, Board of Directors approved a resolution amending the BC TIFA Development Plan by 25 years to 2047 to allow for up to a 25-year amortization of proposed bonds. The proposed amendment does not change the area of development or anything other than the expiration of the plan. This resolution would adopt a proposed amendment to the Battle Creek Tax Increment Finance Authority Development Plan to extend the duration of the development plan by 25 years to 2047 to allow for up to a 25-year amortization of any bonds utilized for projects.
I move for the approval of Resolution 383.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Resolution 383. Are there any comments, questions, or concern by the commission at this time?
I just have one.
Commissioner Wilson.
Thanks. This is either going to be for Ted or Rebecca. Just for those who don't speak this language like me, could you put in simple terms what this means for the city? What is a TIFA and what does the extension of this? Is that typical 25-year extension?
Those are all good questions. I'll do my best. We do love our acronyms, don't we? So a tax increment financing district can be established as an economic development tool. It is a set geographic area that at the time of origination, a base value is set from the property tax the property tax amount within the designation. And any increase to that value over the life of the tax increment district goes back into the district for economic development needs, infrastructure, blight elimination, rehabilitation, anything that really that district needs that can be tied back to, one, certainly the statute, but also an economic development purpose. The city is fortunate to have several tax increment finance districts, and we have seen them evolve very differently. I would believe the one that we're talking about now is probably the most well-known, the Battle Creek Tax Increment Finance Authority, or we call it the BC TIFA, which encompasses the Fort Custer Industrial Park as well as the airport. And had been established for a very long time. I've heard both sides debated as far as TIF districts and the length they're in place, because I think originally they weren't designed to last forever. However, if a community can demonstrate its effective use as an economic development tool, I think it's appropriate for us to ask ourselves, does it make sense to expand this tool, the life of the tool, to be able to provide support to the district? Because in absence of it, the city would be responsible for all things maintenance, infrastructure, and et cetera within the tax increment financing district. Of course, the city also then waives collecting of those taxes, but we know that they're being, BCU administers the BC TIFA, and all of those captured dollars do go back into the district. This is probably, if you would have asked me this question 7 years ago, and I think Mayor Banky and others might be, I probably would have questioned that. However, what we've seen as far as expansion at the airport, what we know of projects that are looking in Calhoun County, and we know the potential on the west side of our airport, it makes sense to continue the district. That's why we are recommending it, so that we can continue to provide that as an economic development tool. But remember, it's a cost to any tax increment, or excuse me, any taxing jurisdiction to have a tax increment financing district. So we agreed at the time, the city of Battle Creek agreed at the time it was created, that we would waive collecting that, anything above that base value, we allow it to go back to the district. So does the community college, so did the schools at the initial, so does the county. Those types of taxing jurisdictions have also seen that this tool is valuable as far as creating, we want it to create vibrancy and grow economic development opportunities in all the districts, and this tool allows that. We know there's several current businesses within the district that would like to expand. But what we're seeing now is the gaps are widening from what their estimates, engineering estimates are and development costs. And so this is a potential that could fill that gap as far as a tool.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other comments by the commission at this time? I would just like to make one comment. I would like to thank everyone that's been involved with BC Tifa for working together. If there's anything that I have observed, we needed to work together. And at times, if you followed the historical path of this organization, we weren't always working together. And I think it's important that we continue to do that in the best interest of our community, because that's how we're going to economically develop a lot of the new businesses and jobs that we need. So, Rebecca, thank you very much for everything you've done. I don't think you receive enough recognition for what the commission wanted with the Battle Creek Tifa, so thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me just add, the Battle Creek Unlimited staff wanted to be here tonight. As I said, they administer the BC Tifa, but they had another event. But you're right, the positive working relationship between the city and Battle Creek Unlimited is really important. And we want to continue to see that, flourish. We nurture that relationship because we know we're basically connected. We need each other to make sure that the city of Battle Creek continues to shine from an economic development perspective.
Thank you very much. Yes, Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to thank both of you for giving a little bit of that historical perspective, because I too, looking back 7 years ago, I would not have approved this. I remember very specifically the first time I ran, thinking to myself, like, oh, when this expires, like way in the future, I would not renew it. And it's because I didn't think that the TIFA was being run properly back then. I think that a lot of changes have been taking place and continue to take place to make sure that it is the economic development tool that we need for this community. And I want to applaud everyone that took part in those changes, both on our city end and with BCU and working together, and the TIF District Authority themselves. There's been a lot of changes for the better, and I'd like to see that to continue, which is why I support this now.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Any other commission comment? See none, would you please vote on Resolution 383? Resolution 383 has been approved. Next item on our general next item on our agenda is general public comment. Please allow me to read this. If you'd like to make regarding general public comment regarding matters over which the City Commission has control, please raise your hand and wait for us to acknowledge you, and then come forward to the podium. You will have 3 minutes to make your comment. Please state your name and address prior to beginning your comment. Are there any public comments at this time? Lindsay Wheeler.
Lindsay Wheeler, 218 Leland Drive South. I'm affiliated with the Mushroom Battalion, kept in the dark and fed cow manure. This is regard to Metcalf Lake. I'm the one that's been sending you the emails on Metcalf Lake. And from what I understand, the city is going to be taking money in order to transfer that property to the Southwest Michigan Land Conservancy. And I think it's unethical for the city to take any money for this. On the other hand, I believe that the city owes money to Metcalf Lake because you destroyed it. This is the deed. The city attorney wrote with Dave Bailey that donated this land to the city of Battle Creek. And it says right here, shall be kept as a nature preserve. So when they started logging out there, I went to the city manager's office and I went to the Calhoun Conservation District, and they told me to my face, that means nothing. They don't know, what does that mean? 364 trees were cut down out there, and they made over $400,000 in the logging operation there. The Calhoun County Conservation District took $90,000, which was mysteriously lost, and they don't care. So the canopy was destroyed, and the west side is now a jungle. And the question I ask is, Who's going to cut the trails and keep them trails free from the brambles and the bushes that are going to overgrow that? Before the logging, you could walk with no trails all over the property because there was a canopy. The canopy suppressed all vegetation. It was a beautiful paradise, and that's why he donated it. It was a lovely thing. But when that canopy came down, 364 trees were felled in 2 weeks at a nature preserve. We don't know. So my question is, why should a city keep a nature preserve? It has no intention, doesn't understand what it means. Yet you can run a nature preserve on Helmer Road, but you can't run one on Metcalf Lake. Here in your lease agreement, the city purposely knew, it says right here, any timber sale monies received will be used to continue the services of the Town Conservation District. Oh, wow. Is that what a nature preserve is for? But it says on the back page, and agrees to maintain the premises in its present condition. That's a lie. This whole thing's garbage. Words have no meaning. There is no rule of law. And if you take money for this, you're a criminal organization.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other public comments? Reese Atkins, please.
Hello, Reese Atkins, 24 Popular, Battle Creek, Michigan. I want to say thank you to Rebecca and Ted Daring, who gave me a little bit of insight on the discussion today, but we're going to discuss the Hart Hotel, which is at the corner of Washington and Van Buren Street. It was sold in 2001, according to an article that was in the Battle Creek Inquirer on August 20th, 2018. 2015, it was deemed unable for a person to even go in. I understand that they did do some work on it so that they did go in, but the building still to this day sits empty. In 2018, they met with Ted Daring and showed them a diagram of what they wanted to do to the building. Ted Daring said it looked beautiful, ideas were great, but we're now in 2022. The building still sits empty, still sits as no sign of anything being done. The article did say that they were looking for a contractor to do it and they needed $15,000. Once again, we look at a building where somebody has bought it, have no money to do anything. According to Rebecca, all the permits and everything that were done on the building have expired. There's been no service to renew these permits. So how long are we going to have another building like the school on Washington that was sold? An organization was going there and do something to it, and it sat empty for many years. Finally, the building was given back to the city, and it still today sits empty because these people want to buy these buildings, not have money to do anything with them. Now we have two buildings. We've got the old school on Washington, now we've got the Hart Hotel, where people are getting these buildings and they have no money. Something needs to be looked at, and this church that's bought it needs to be said, okay, are you going to do something? Are you going to rebuild it? Are you going to use it? Or are you just going to sit there and let it be empty and let it go to waste in a historical building? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? Yes, John Kodovic.
John Kennefic, 234 South Avenue. Apologize to the citizens of Battle Creek. I didn't hit my notes hard enough on Resolution 372. Just wanted to kind of make my point a little stronger on this point and then go on to another point. Basically what I said in 2014, it was the 50-year anniversary on the War on Poverty. We hadn't made any progress. We had gone backwards. There were more people in poverty than before the program started, which basically told me, as a citizen of the United States, that poverty won the war. We augmented that with a cost increase by diesel fuel by the federal government, which caused all kinds of things to go up. Just wanted to knock that point down. The second point that I wanted to have is, during your proclamations, you made some interesting comments. And I had interesting thing. When I worked in the factory, there were about 500 people in the factory, and they'd have an all-hands meeting. And all the people that attended this meeting, one of the department heads, which was the head of the Human Resources Department, Mr. Binky, do I have your undivided attention? You seem to be looking through the paperwork. Anyway, we'd have an all-hands meeting, and the Department of Human Resources would give a speech to everybody at the all-hands meeting and say, the unsung heroes of the Human Resources Department. And he was always promoting the unsung heroes of the Human Resources Department in every meeting. And I thought about that, and I thought, well, without the people actually making a product in the factory, there'd be no Human Resources unsung heroes. So when I hear you have comments in regards to the proclamation, in regards to proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week, where would everybody be in this city if the people that made products that make our economy go, that you tax, closed down? The entire system of the city of Battle Creek, let alone Calhoun County, Michigan, or the United States, the economy would immediately collapse, because that is where the wealth and income is created. We may not be the incredible important people that you think we are. Without people making products and services in the private sector, there would be no economy. So even though you're doing the same thing as what the Human Resources Director did at my factory, without the people making products, there would be no city. It would be a ghost town. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments at this time? Jose.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commission. I'll make it quick. I just wanted to formally invite you all to our Cinco de Mayo events coming up this weekend. Thursday, we're going to be having a formal presentation from 5 to 7 at the Willard Library. It will be presented out by two different doctors. One of them will be presenting out in English, so you'll be okay if you're only speaking English. But for our Spanish speakers, we will have an interpreter there. The other doctor is going to be presenting in Spanish, so if you don't know Spanish, we're going to have interpreters there as well. So if you're monolingual, you'll probably be having a device. If you're bilingual, you'll be all right. So you're invited for Cinco de Mayo formal presentation, 5 to 7, the history behind Cinco de Mayo. And I just read the Battle Creek Enquirer today, and I encourage you to read the article because I'm still learning as well. And this weekend, on Saturday from 3 to 7 p.m., we are going to be partying downtown Battle Creek. I walked it with John Hart Monday morning, and we're going to be shaking those buildings Saturday. So y'all are all invited, and see y'all then.
Thank you very much, Jose. Any other public comments at this time? Kathy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I watched the Human Relations Board meeting last week, I think it was, 2 weeks ago, thank you, time flies. And I saw the presentation about the diversity, equity, and inclusion audit that has recently been, the presentation that was done about the work that has been gone on with the DEI. And I am a huge supporter of that. I thought the audit was a really good idea, but I was really super disappointed once I heard the presentation. First of all, I was stunned at the limited scope of what they were actually looking at. When we heard about this, it was a lot broader, I thought, than what we ended up hearing. Second of all, I was stunned by the fact that 157 out of 540 employees filled out the survey. And I appreciate the fact that it's really hard to get employees to fill out surveys. It's hard to get anybody to fill out surveys. But wow, really? Couldn't we have put together a super wow team of managers from the various departments to go around to each department and rah-rah, having the employees do the survey? Couldn't we have urged them to do it on give them a free hour to fill out the survey during company time, etc.? I was really disappointed by that. I was also really surprised that they identified several things that we've already been doing. Hello, the city has already been moving forward on the Citizens Review Panel for the police department, #1, and they lifted it up like, woo-wee, look what we came up with. And again, this is me watching this presentation, and I was a little surprised by that. And finally, I understand that there is lots more to do, and I understand fully, they were very clear that there's some next steps that we're going to having to occur. And despite the fact that I have the utmost respect, and I have worked with every single person that's listed, the 8 people that are going to be sitting on this board to determine next steps, are you kidding me? That is not a diverse group. Sorry, but DEI is not black and white, all right? And wow, I can't believe I just said that out loud in public, but there's a lot more to our community than black folks and white folks. And I was a little disappointed that our next steps moving forward are going to be determined by 8 people. To me, it looked like 4 of whom were white and 4 of whom were black. Thank you for your comments. And I apologize, I didn't say I live at 117 Park Ridge, Kathy Antea. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? Seeing none, are there any commission comments? Commissioner Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor. And as Chair of the Human Relations Board, I'd just like to take this opportunity to talk about the Equity Audit a bit. I know that there was a lot of concern about how light it felt, the presentation that we received, and the depth, but I do think it's important to provide some context, and that is that the African American Collaborative had requested this audit of the city, and when that request came in, it was at the height of the George Floyd reaction in the country, and so there was some intentionality around who and what would be included in the initial phases of that audit. I too think that there is a lot more to our identities, and us believing that we are an equitable city requires us to look at all of those, from sexual orientation, gender, other races included, income, et cetera. So I do think this is the first phase, and I think that we have to be mindful of this being a journey and not a destination, that it's going to be going on. This is new for the city. We did need to bring in a third party to do this audit, because you can't audit yourself. That's really too difficult to do, and they only could do what we asked of them. So I think this has opened our eyes to what more we need, and I feel like there's an openness by city staff to do that. And so I just want to request that folks hang in there and really, stay engaged. I do agree that we should have a higher rate of response from our city employees, and if there's more we can do to get their feedback, that would be incredible. There was some data that we thought would be really important that is missing, but we've requested that, and so we're hoping that it goes back, and we see that as a next step. So I just wanted to share that while I had a moment, so thank you, Mayor.
And thank you for your leadership on that committee. Are there any other commission comments? Vice Mayor?
I just wanted to recognize that it's National Teacher Appreciation Week, and I forgot to mention that earlier when I gave the proclamation. But I just want to thank all the teachers here in Battle Creek that are working hard to ensure a better future for our city and beyond. And I want to thank all the teachers that I had growing up that helped get me where I am today. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Commissioner Sophia.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to give a shout out to all of the moms, the grandmothers, the aunts, the foster moms, the stepmoms, any other woman in your life that has had an impact. Mother's Day is Sunday, and so I would like to wish a very happy Mother's Day to all of those important moms that are in our community.
Thank you, Commissioner. We appreciate that a lot. City Manager.
Thanks. I appreciate it, Mayor, because Vice Mayor Ferris triggered something that we forgot to mention, and it certainly needs to be lifted up, that this is also Municipal Clerks Week. We've had so many, accolades that we lifted up, and I apologize. It just simply did not make the proclamation list, but that is not because we don't appreciate the fabulous work that our city clerk and her staff provide to this community. So accept the apologies from my office, Vicki, but wanted to make sure everybody also knows this is Municipal Clerks Week, and we are appreciative.
Thank you.
Are there any other commission comments at this time? Commissioner Blood.
Thank you. Okay, well, Vicki's one of my favorites, so I'm glad that you lifted that up. Gives me a reason to bring her cookies or something. So I kind of want to bring things back to Ward 1 for a second. I don't do this often. I try to, vote generally for the whole city, not only my ward, but I do serve them. So I wanted to lift up something positive. The License Review Board, someone from Ward 1, Jim Eldridge, just got appointed. Great person, really excited for him. So that's fantastic. And then I wanted to bring up publicly and give our city an opportunity to respond about the ambulance report that goes out on our communications monthly to us. So it's been a while, and our ambulance service criteria minimum have not been met for a while in Ward 1, and there was a significant decrease this month. So Rebecca, if you could speak to what we've identified around that and what are we doing to address that, to ensure that Ward 1 residents have access to the same minimum criteria that other people do.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate that. We regularly receive the ambulance report, and that is reviewed not only by my office, but also in the fire department. We certainly understand the impact of staffing right now on our ambulance provider, Life Care. We continue to have conversations with the leadership there about things that we could do to improve those numbers and statistics. One of the things they remind us of is that response time is not the only data point that we should be looking at when it comes to ambulance services, but that is what the contract with the city it requires. And so they certainly do recognize that, but they certainly, similar to what we see in the police department, are unable to fill staff positions, and they're carrying a great number of vacancies. And also in that profession, they can only work so many hours before they need to rest. And when you don't have kind of a bench to pull from, that means that, they're struggling to meet all of the demands, not only the advanced life support or even just the basic transports. And we're seeing that, it's not a unique to Battle Creek situation. But it is an important component of the study that is just underway around EMS, fire, and police service delivery models in Battle Creek. What you have mentioned, Commissioner Blood, is exactly why that is a component of that study, because we are seeing new impacts to those three areas, EMS, fire, and police, that I don't think any of us anticipated for a variety of reasons. So we have to, we're doing, again, we're having somebody come in and look at us, because if we were to just look at ourselves, it just doesn't have any validity, but have experts come in and say, okay, analyze what we're providing, what service delivery models we're providing, and then do we see any reason that there needs to be change consideration because of what you said, staffing shortages, budgets, change in calls for service. We know that the fire department responds to, 70% of the fire department calls are medical related, not structure fires. And so, looking at all of those service delivery models, I think is incredibly important for this community, for the citizens of this community, in some of our most, high profile services. We know that from the city's perspective, the police and fire budget is well over 60% of the general fund. And so we know that it is our due diligence and to be good stewards of taxpayer dollars, as several people have mentioned, we need to make sure that we're providing the right service delivery models. And if we're not, what are our options? Best practices, what they're seeing in other parts of the country. Can you model a city that's similar to Battle Creek in your report and give us alternatives to think about if that makes sense? Again, what I've shared with the police and the fire is that it may not say that we need to change anything, or it may just need to be how we respond to calls differently. From right at the moment that dispatch gets the 911 call or the non-emergency calls to the whoever is dispatched to those calls. And that's what we're looking at right now. And those were some of the reasons why it was so important to do this now, even though we're just coming out of the pandemic, we're not out of the pandemic, and we know that had huge impacts. But similar to the parking structure, what are we going to see the new normal return to? I don't know the answer to that, because I just met with Chief Blocker yesterday, and we're carrying over 20 vacancies in police officers. So we just don't have the bench or the pool of candidates quick enough to fill the vacancies that are continuing to be created in both EMS, fire, and police.
I appreciate that response and letting us know that although we aren't meeting that criteria and we're aware of that, there are goals that we're working towards and we are trying to see what we can do. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Commissioner. I appreciate that. Are there any other commission comments at this time? Seeing none, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you for attending.